All right, hold on. We just had a quick thing we want to tell you about. First off, if you're watching the episode and you're liking it, thank you so much. We love you. Keep watching. Just make sure if you've got the time, go hit that subscribe button, like, comment, do all the things you got to do to make us the best podcast that, we're trying to be. I believe Colt has one more thing he wants to tell you.
Guys, I got some big news, okay? The big news is that Jon and I are coming up with a whole new show. We already have it all put together, but we need your help to do it. The name of the show is Who's Your Tammy, where we're going to have you guys, our loyal fans, write into the show. Tell us about your crazy childhoods, good and bad. What'd your parents do? Did they not feed you? Did they feed you too much? Did you have good Christmases, bad Christmases? Tell us all about it. Email us at tammy'sboypodcast@gmail.com, and we will read your stories on the air, and we'll break them down.
Feel free. If you want to keep it anonymous, keep it anonymous. You don't have to tell us your name. Your identity can remain a complete secret. But your stories, that's what we want. So please, send us those stories. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the episode.
Each family brings joy. It's childhood destroyed. Hey, it's Tammy's boy. Tammy's boy. Tammy's boy. Hey, it's Tammy's boy.
Tammy's Boy Podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. Jon Carden is not a licensed therapist. He is just a friend.
Welcome on in, everybody. It's Tammy's Boy. It's another fun-filled episode where we talk about childhood, we talk about parents, and we get to some fun stuff. You know me. I'm Jon. I had a weird childhood. One time, my dad hired Batman to show up for my 3rd birthday party. He showed up, said, "I'm Batman," and left. So we do a fun pod called Tammy's Boy where we just talk about parents. We're glad you're here. This is my producer, Mr. Cole Garrett.
Guys, how the hell are we doing? We got a great episode for you again. If you want to watch it, you can watch it on YouTube and Spotify. We're working on getting it up on all the other podcast listening platforms. Sorry about that delay, but we're working on it. No matter where you're watching it or listening to it, please make sure to go like, comment, subscribe. It'll help us a lot so we can keep doing more. Also, if you guys have any crazy stories from your family, parents, anything, email us. You can email it to tammy'sboypodcast@gmail.com, and we will tell them on the air. That's enough out of me, guys. Jon, who the hell we got on the couch today?
Well, Tammy's boys and girls, we've got a very decorated tattoo artist, somebody whose work I admire. I think you're one of the greatest tattoo artists in the world, if I'm being honest.
Thank you so much.
He's got a tattoo studio here in Austin, Texas. It's on 6th Street. It's Charles Huurman, everybody. Did I say it right?
Yes,
Huurman?
that was perfect, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was nervous. When I was doing the intro, I was literally in the back of my head thinking, I'm going to butcher this name.
I was nervous for you.
I have a Dutch-English name,
Yeah.
and I grew up in Spain. So
it is interesting.
If people don't butcher it, it will be weird. You know? Yeah, so.
Oh, it was probably butchered a lot growing up in Spain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people didn't want to call me Charles. They would call me Carlos, And I hated that,
Yeah, so did you go by Carlos when you were in Spain?
No.
Always Charles.
But many people tried, because many people who are called Carlos,
Yeah.
as a nickname, they call them Charlie.
Oh,
so
okay.
everyone assumed I was just another Carlos with a nickname called Charlie.
Okay, so you were actually Charlie.
Yeah, I was the real thing.
Genuine.
I was a real Charlie, yeah.
Real Charlie.
So my name's Jonathan, and I learned that you could use Jack, short
Yeah.
for Jonathan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but my friend's name was actually Jack.
Yeah.
So he would get upset about the same thing.
Yeah.
Or he's like, no, you've got like 3 different names to choose from.
Yeah, because it's always when you're in trouble, then that's when they change your name, Yeah.
So we always start this off really simply. It's one simple question. It's just who raised you?
Yeah, well, 2 beautiful parents. My mother is an Irish mother from Galway. My father, a Dutch father from Rotterdam.
Okay.
And they met in Spain learning Spanish. So that's where they kind of stayed.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they just went there to learn Spanish?
Yeah, in the 70s. And they were in Spanish school in Madrid, which is the capital of Spain.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they fell in love, they married, and they stayed there. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I have a brother and a sister, 8 and 9 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah, and my brother's in Luxembourg, tiny country in the middle of Europe.
Yeah.
My sister is in Madrid, in Spain.
They're still in Spain.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you go back a lot?
Maybe 2-3 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did
That's
your dad do?
Yeah, my father had different jobs. He mainly worked in the port, but basically, where my art comes from is actually from him.
Okay.
Because all his life he's been doing oil paintings. He does crazy oil paintings and crazy things, hyper-realistic sea that feels like you can touch it,
Yeah.
And
That was your dad?
that was my dad.
And he was obsessed with that.
Oh yeah, he was obsessed. So he did many exhibitions, and I would stay there in the exhibition, like in the door
Yeah.
for maybe, I don't know, days, like a full week. He would rent a place for a full week, but he was not very good with marketing. So not a single soul would walk in. He wouldn't sell the paintings, and that's why when I decided I wanted to also like give my life to the arts, to initially to painting. I had this thing like, it's selling paintings is not an easy thing, like.
No, yeah.
And suddenly all my friends were asking me to draw their tattoos, and they would come back with what I had drawn tattooed on them. I was like, hey, this is the other way around. I don't have to paint and then look for a buyer. Here I have a buyer, and then I paint.
You work out the buyer first.
Exactly. So
Businessman.
everything fell in place, and then I became obsessed with tattooing instead of painting. I still paint, but that's why I came obsessed with tattooing.
Did you go to school for art?
I started school and then I dropped off. Yeah,
Okay.
Art schools,
Hell
definitely. Yeah.
We love to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I dropped off, and then I became obsessed, and I became so obsessed that any artist I admired, I had to go and work with him, and that meant tattooing in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, all over Europe, Germany, Denmark, all over the world, and basically I would just email them. As soon as my portfolio was good, if your portfolio is shit, you cannot go anywhere.
Yeah.
But if it's like, I don't want you here.
That's the way it is in comedy too, brother.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it applies to a lot of places.
Exactly. And as soon as I had a decent portfolio, I would mail them, go and work in your studio, and I would just travel wherever it was. And yeah, so I've worked all over the world, and that's how I ended up all the way from Europe here in Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with your dad, with him being a painter, do you have a lot of like vivid memories of like, going with him while he's painting? Because he painted landscapes, right?
Yeah, landscapes, especially the sea, with vessels and boats and everything.
Yeah. Did he go? Did he go like live and paint it?
No, he actually painted them from
memory?
photographs and from
photographs.
different things like that. Yeah, he would just copy. He always told me that he wasn't an artist, which I don't believe. You know, because he said, no, you create, I just copy, which is not true anyway. He's super talented. And yeah, so I would go to his exhibitions and stuff like that, and he kept trying. Yeah, funny thing is that now that he retired, he started doing dioramas and painting them and stuff.
Yeah.
And people will just send him pictures online, and he will reproduce whatever city or town.
That's awesome.
And he will sell them, and now he has a waiting list. So now
his marketing got better.
Yeah, so now he finally managed to live off his art. Maybe not the painting, but he's doing dioramas and sending them all over the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it worked out.
And what did mom do?
My mother did different jobs, very energetic person. And because we were moving around a lot, different cities, the easiest for her was at the beginning was always being an English teacher.
Okay.
Like Irish woman in Spain, that made sense.
Yeah.
Easy,
Yeah, I'm part Irish too, if you can't tell.
Yeah. And did you live in Ireland? Did your parents?
No, my dad's family was Irish.
Oh, your dad's family.
Yeah, he was 6'9" ginger. My dad was huge.
Oh,
But yeah,
Big Irish.
big Irish.
Big
dude.
Irish.
Irishman right there.
Yeah.
yeah. No, I lived in Ireland like 7 years.
Okay.
When I started tattooing, actually.
Oh, did you start tattooing in Ireland?
Yeah. Well, I started in Spain as soon as I could do a decent tattoo. Then I went to Ireland. Yeah.
Ireland's a big place for tattoos.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of like tradition with tattoos in Ireland.
Oh yeah. People are heavily tattooed. Because it's anywhere from the UK. It's a sailor tradition. So because they had like the whole British Empire, they were sailing and they would go to Polynesia and see these guys with tattoos. So they started the sailors.
Yeah.
So and Irish were part of that English sailor tradition.
That was all like stick and poke, right?
Yeah,
Like,
stick and poke. Yeah.
It's crazy that it's still done today.
Yeah.
That people still do that.
Yeah, the crazy thing is that the way the stick and poke tattoos are kind of, you know what I mean? It's nice to have them the traditional, but they're kind of, you cannot do what you can do with a machine.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is that the Japanese guys who use the tebori, tebori is like a fork, and they actually can do more things that we cannot do with a machine. It's the other way around, you know, because with a machine, the needle goes in and out and just puts a bit of ink. But with the tebori, they will put the needle inside, and because they're handling it with their hand, they will move down the hand, which will suction a lot
So it
of
opens
ink.
up the skin in a sense to push it in more.
Yeah, you
Okay.
do that, and it creates a suction of ink that you cannot do with the machine. So that's why when you do a traditional Japanese bodysuit tattoo, they have to leave the edges here in the center open and stuff like that, because there's so much ink that the skin won't be able to breathe.
Wow.
You know, so that's why they need to leave a lot of empty spaces in between, in the middle. They also do it so they can hide the tattoos. So it has like a double reason, you know, for it.
I know why they do that.
Yeah, the Yakuza.
Sure.
Yeah, Yakuza. It's a scary word in some parts of the world.
Yeah.
So whenever you were a kid, in your house, what was the main language that was spoke just between you and your parents?
Yeah. So they spoke to me always in English, and I super regretted I always answered in Spanish. So I was kind of, because I didn't want to be weird. You know, when you're growing up, you're the foreigner kid, you're the different guy, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to know anything about English, which I really regret, because my brother and my sister didn't do that, and they have a nice Irish accent.
Yeah.
And I would like to have an Irish accent. It's kind
I
of
bet
cool.
that is a strange sounding Thanksgiving table.
Yeah.
The accents in that house must be insane.
Oh yeah. And my father with the Dutch accent, so for sure, yeah.
Right.
Oh man,
Right.
yeah, that is a United Nations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, man.
That's like a Cold War dream right there. It's just like allied powers coming together.
That's awesome. And
That's
your dad,
cool.
so your dad's still painting.
Yeah, he's still painting, and now he's doing dioramas and many things like that. So they were a big inspiration for sure. Yeah.
And I got like so many like when you were in Ireland. I'm going to go back to that for a minute. What was that like for you? Because you're coming. Like I imagine how young. How old were you?
Yeah, when I was 21 when I went to live for Ireland.
That's a good
Yeah.
age.
Yeah, you know why actually I went there? You know, I actually started tattooing decently good. And first thing I said, okay, there's a lot of artists I really like in LA. So I said, okay, I went straight to LA, you know, and but what I fucked up, what I did wrong, what I fucked up is that I was like, oh, I'll go there, I'll get a studio to like me, and then they'll do the paperwork for me. But it doesn't work like that. You know, if you go as a tourist with intention to work, you're already
Breaking the law.
breaking the law. That's what it is. I can say it because what happened is that I was like that, living and initially I was like nearly like homeless, but like super nearly homeless because I ran out of money and I went into a studio where there was no work. And like literally I had, I don't know, like $200 left, no family near, nothing. And then I just got into a different studio where they were charging crazy amounts the hour. There was loads of client too. And I ended up like literally like 3 weeks later, you know, paying like deposit for a really nice apartment in LA and everything.
It can turn around that quick.
Oh, it was so crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
And in this studio, like a lot of famous people would go there, like Rihanna, Scarlett Johansson. I didn't tattoo any of them, but but they were around, you know.
Yeah.
And when I was going to start like getting those kind of clients, what I would be doing with my tourist visa was going in and out, and then I would get stopped. You know, why are you coming here for 3 months, coming out for 10 days, you know, to renew it? And I had like all my story in my head planned, saying, okay, no, I have a girlfriend here. Whatever, I'm falling in love.
My girlfriend is a tattoo shop that's paying for my great apartment.
But it didn't work like that, you know? The guy came with a full printed color, pictures of me, How much are you making tattooing in Body Electric Tattoo LA? And I was like, no, I'm just an apprentice. And okay, you're going to be arrested for fraud. You know, and he was leaving the room and he was like, I'm calling the truck, like in the room with the mirror, like in the movies, you know, in the airport, in Chicago airport, you know, when I was coming back. So, yeah, then I got deported. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, because he was going to arrest me for fraud. And then I said, no. He saw I was a nice guy or something. I said, okay, let's do a deal, okay? You just confess to everything. You just say what you were doing, whatever. I do a good report. And I do 2 favors for you. First favor is, and this is the big one, is like, I'll get you on a plane today that leaves the airport, because if not, we need to take you to a detention center. And we don't know how much you will be in that detained, you know? And the second is, we'll just put what really happened, that you need a work visa and you came with a tourist visa. So yeah, and then I was handcuffed. They stopped a plane in the middle, about to run away. Actually, he did a big favor. Like, they literally had to move the stairs back to the plane.
To put you on it.
To put me on. And what was crazy is that they, before putting me on the plane, you know, they brought me out of the police thing, you know, with the handcuffs. and then they just put me in the plane, took the handcuffs off, you know.
When you're in like the aisle?
In the aisle, and they put the handcuffs off, you know, in the entrance, but people could see me from the window, you know. And the way it works is like with whatever company brought you in, you know, they have to get you a place and bring you back to whatever is your country, you know.
Okay.
And yeah, so I was like sent back, you know, and I had like the whole furnished apartment, and I had made it, you know. I was in a good studio. I had like the whole life. I have only my clothes for 10 days because that's what I was doing, you know. I was leaving for 10 days. So then I was back in Spain again. And that's where I want to be here, you know. I was there, and then I had some friends in Ireland. How come? And that's why I went to Ireland, you know.
So it's like the nicest deportation you could ask for, I guess.
That's a wild story.
That's wild.
Now I'm good with a green card and everything, you know. I have to
show it to us right now. I want to see
it. Don't call dice for me.
No, dude, I'll fight him at the door for you, dude.
No, what happened is that I couldn't enter the country until I had a work visa. I couldn't come as a tourist, obviously, which makes sense. You know, you came as a tourist once and you worked. You know what's
No.
You know, no. So then, in my case, to get a visa as a tattoo artist, there's no like universities for tattoo artists or no masters or anything. You know, so the way it works is you have to be really, really good. Mm-hmm. So you are in magazines, the news, that you have really famous people who will do letters for you, you know, and stuff like that, you know. You need to have at least more than 30 international awards at convention. Why? Because you need to get the talent visa, which is the same as an actor or a comedian would get if they come to the US, you know. So that's how they tell apart. So it took me 10 years to get enough talent, so they would say, okay, now you can come legally, you know.
It's also like you're probably chasing accolades as well, right? You're chasing like achievements and,
exactly.
and awards and trying to like I put heat behind your name. Yeah,
exactly. The funny thing is I was doing it not thinking of getting the green card later, you know, but one thing led to another. I was just doing it because I was obsessed with tattooing and traveling to the best artists all over the world and just working with them and learning how they do everything.
That's awesome. I can't imagine the way those people felt on that flight. Watching you get this you know what I mean? They had to feel like they were on Con Air. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Nicolas Cage is getting getting locked up.
Yeah, it was weird, you know. And then when I arrived to Spain, police had to come and grab me out of the plane, you know. And that was 2009, you know, financial crisis was 2008. No one had jobs, nothing, you know.
Yeah, no, that's the thing about it. We're both in industries where people have to have expendable income in order to be. I learned that during COVID.
Yeah.
If people don't have extra money, they can't go to comedy shows.
Exactly.
Yeah, they can't get tattoos. And so like we do, we live off expendable income. If the economy is not good, we struggle.
Exactly. And everyone was unemployed. So the guys came and, okay, the officers were like, what did you do? You know, why were you arrested? Whatever. And I was like, I worked. And they started laughing and like, go to the fucking unemployment like everyone else, you know?
Welcome to America.
Yeah, and they laughed and they're like, okay, get off the plane, you know? Okay.
That's wild, man. Who do you think, what artists that you work with do you think had like the biggest influence on you?
Well,
because I imagine they all had their own individual, but
yeah, some really good ones. There's this guy which I was obsessed with in Austria, Sava Mulliner, and basically he had invented a crazy style with realism, with crazy strokes, and basically things that made no sense at the time. Now people are more creative, but he would just do like a hyper-realistic face. Mm-hmm. But then he would do like strokes of paintbrush over it, and then he would break it into weird splash, and so anyway, this guy
almost like Picasso-esque.
Yeah, Picasso-esque mixed with hyper-realism. So good technique, and then just crazy abstract strokes. Like he would have the face, and then just like a paintbrush thing like going across the body. You know, like insane stuff. You know, or he would just throw paint at the person. You know. Press the face, and wherever the paint fell, that's what he would tattoo, you know, and crazy stuff. So I went to work with him, and I saw how he was inspired, you know, like it was hard working with him because that studio, they would book your appointments at the earliest at 6 o'clock, and if you're tattooing for 8 hours. And so basically that means that for like full like months, you would be at 4 a.m. tattooing.
Oh, wow.
With hard Austrian techno, you know.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. It was pretty insane, you know. Later I realized, you know, that they were all like on speed tattooing like crazy, you know. Like, I was like, how can they do it? You know, I was drinking coffee all the time, you know.
It's like you're tattooing in the basement of a John Wick movie.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was like a whole studio of people like that tattooing the whole night. Super good artists, super talented.
Yeah.
There were also artists like painting, you know, the whole night, every week, every day of the week, you know. Yeah. Somewhere in a small town in Austria. You know,
it's wild.
All these Austrian German guys were pretty insane, you know.
Yeah. They're known to be pretty insane. Yeah. Yeah.
Funny thing is, I realized they were all on speed like later, and I was like, how can they do it? You know, I'm destroyed. You know.
Dude, that's the way. First time I ever worked construction with like real Mexicans, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, how do you guys drink until 5 a.m. and then go to work at 6? It is insane. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's one of the, if you had to pick, what would be like one of the worst experiences you had when you were like trying to come up and gain?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So basically, for me, I always say, till you don't get good enough, they don't want you in any studio because this is my work and it's it, basically. So initially it was hard for me to like learn, you know. I thought that because I was a painter, you know, I was going to be so good so fast, but I realized that technique with the tattoo machines was way different, especially back then because it was different kind of tattoo machines. Technology has evolved and made it easier. So anyway, it was hard for me to get anywhere an apprenticeship. So I kept going to the main studios in my city at the time in Spain and just asking for an apprenticeship. And there was this studio, first studio open in the city. And the owner was from the most famous biker gang, you know, and it was one of the things, and they were also controlling it was the name of the most famous one, you know.
Yeah. And
so anyway, but he was also kind of a schizophrenic, so artists would kind of leave him the whole time and just disappear. Disappear, I mean, they would leave the city or whatever, go work somewhere else. Like disappear? No. Yeah, because
escape.
If you leave his studio, you need to leave the city. You know, it's like that. It was actually
wow.
That's why I also like started traveling initially. You know,
yeah. I had to get away.
Yeah, it's like you belong to him. You know, because I mean, the way he saw it is like, oh, I showed you how to tattoo. You know, so it's like
now I own you.
Yeah, kind of. You know, you cannot work. So you would have to leave the city. So anyway, the weird thing is I started working with him because one day I entered the studio and apparently all his artists had left overnight. And I came with my drawings, to be an apprentice. And he just turned around, and was like, you're the guy who wants to learn. It's like, go for your fucking machines, right now. I want you here in half an hour with your machines, So he had me there for like 7 days a week, and
Just working yourself to death.
I would faint tattooing, like.
Wow.
And
Don't want that.
It was so hard just getting in there, an apprenticeship. I just wanted to learn so badly that I was going to take it all. So many artists now tell me, how could you be with this guy for 2 years,
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was kind of, he had weird stuff, like you were like, oh, yeah, we're out of Vaseline. He's like, what? Well, you want to fight? You want to,
Wow.
He was just like voices in his head or something. And the problem is you couldn't do anything because he's like in the club, so, so you can't.
He's the boss.
It's not just him, like, so.
Yeah.
So anyway, the funny thing is that when I left him, I left the city. And then when I started getting like recognition in the tattoo world and everything, the story changed from he's a bastard, I teach him everything and he left me. It changed to, I taught him everything, this is my guy. Yeah.
All of a sudden you're from the Miyagi-Do dojo. And
Exactly. So he gave me a real hard time. I would faint tattooing, I would, stress will do crazy stuff. One day I couldn't get back home because I just forgot how to get back home. I would do every day the same route.
Yeah.
home.
But one day you were just so tired.
And I was okay, but I just forgot. And I was calling my flatmate and describing where like crazy stuff for stress, your brain will do. Like that was weird stuff. Yeah.
I've done that too. I've done that where I've just like completely forgotten almost like where I was.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I've done that. Just been too stressed.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've also taken some opportunities like in comedy that I only took for the experience.
Yeah.
And it's like that you have to do that.
Yeah.
You have no choice. Sometimes you have to suffer for your art.
Exactly.
It's such a weird
So
thing.
what do you mean? You took the opportunity only for the experience?
Yeah, because like
there
there were
an
like
example.
when you're coming
What experience? Yeah.
so when you're coming up, in comedy, it's like it's really hard to go from, feature, which is like the middle act, to headliner, to the guy that's selling the tickets.
Yeah.
So when you're getting those opportunities to headline and work out that long time, 45 minutes of material at a time, you want to take those opportunities.
Yeah.
And one of the opportunities I took was with this place called, it was a tour called the Brewery Comedy Tour. And the guy didn't own a fucking map.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know what a map was.
Oh.
We would be in Louisville, Colorado at a brewery, and then the next day be in Des Moines, Iowa. We have to drive 16 to 17 hours between gigs. And like, I mean,
No planning, no.
no, you would go from Georgia to Northern Virginia, back to Alabama, and you're just doing shows in breweries in front of anywhere between 10 to sometimes, 200 people.
Yeah.
You would get good crowds every now and then.
Yeah.
But you set up your own equipment. You brought all your own equipment with you.
Yeah.
You only got $50 a night for a room. So we ended up in Raleigh, North Carolina at a microtel, and they were using this microtel as subsidized housing.
Oh.
So it was Section 8 housing, cut in half.
Yeah.
And they were using the other half as a hotel. And
Okay. A clandestine hotel, kind of.
it was crazy. And so we go in, and like there's a kid running around in the lobby with a loaded diaper. Everyone out front looks like they just got out of D block. It's scary.
Yeah.
Okay, we go in there, and there's roaches, Charles, everywhere. Charlie, it's just like there was one roach by the front door that was like that big, and I'm not exaggerating. And it was like all the other roaches had killed it just to let you know not to fuck around. Like it was intimidating.
Yeah.
And so that was some of the rooms that he would book us. And I had stayed in horrible places and did horrible things. But during that time, I was able to work out an hour.
Yeah.
And I was able to work out, an hour that worked. And because it's one thing to have an hour that works regionally, an hour of comedy. It's another thing to have one that works nationally. And so by traveling and doing all that, going from, Georgia to Washington I was able to hit so many different audiences and get so many different samples of people that I was able to kind of mesh everything into something that everybody could take.
Oh, cool.
And so it was paramount. It was like so important to me becoming a comic was just doing that shitty tour.
Oh, that's great.
With a dude that was an absolute madman.
Yeah, same thing. It's actually, when you want to succeed, it's always like 20 times harder than you thought, always. And when you realize that, you're already like so deep in it, there's no going back,
Yeah.
And the only way is forth. And it's crazy, yeah. I when I was trying to learn, after this guy, the first place I went was like crazy party towns, So I was, there's islands there in the Mediterranean where basically the tattoo studios will open at 8 o'clock in the afternoon and tattoo the whole night drunk people. Yeah. So that's where people who want to learn how to tattoo go to tattoo, So it's a good combination of drunk people, fights when you're tattooing, and so those places are horrible,
Yeah, there was a couple
hard.
on 6th Street for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And I see the schedules,
Yeah.
We close at 3 a.m. I'm like, okay, I know this kind of studio. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're tattooing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're tattooing somebody's going to regret that in the morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had like a bit of crazy karma, Like I was working in the studio, and then years later when I'm in Ireland, I have this lady who comes she says, I want a cover up. I want to cover a fucked up tattoo I got. And basically, okay, what would you get if you didn't have anything? And I'll see if I can design it like that, my typical line. I was like, no, I don't care. I need to cover it. It's horrible. I need to cover it. And I was like, okay, show me, and she lifts up her top, and basically this big, her whole stomach, with a big arrow, black arrow pointing down to where just pointing down.
Oh, I can imagine to where.
And it said like Joe's property. and the thing is, I'm down there looking at the tattoo. I'm like, that's like the same lettering I do, And when you design a lettering, at the end it becomes like yours. And I was like, that's the same lettering I do, And the next thing is, were you tattooing in an island in the Mediterranean in Menorca, and I was like, no way, that's where I was, one of those crazy places, one of those crazy islands.
Yeah.
And I was like, down there, and I was like, no. And I don't even remember doing it, I couldn't say no.
Yeah.
In that studio, you couldn't say no to any tattoo.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I basically, she paid the deposit. I designed it, and she actually never came for the tattoo. So I'm thinking that she realized. But what are the odds? Like some Spanish island in the Mediterranean, and I'm years later in Ireland.
And she came in to cover up your tattoo of an arrow pointed at Joe's property.
Joe's property, yeah. I regret things like that.
Well, I mean, you couldn't say no. You work in a
that
shop.
studio, you couldn't say no. If you said no, you were like, okay, here all tattoos are crazy because everyone is drunk.
Yeah.
So but now, of course, I would never do anything like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I've had like people like, I don't know, in an after party and they see a tattoo machine, and they're like, oh, I'll get a tattoo, and I'll have like a lady with no tattoos works in an office. Oh, I want to hear a heart, like, no, never,
Yeah. That's wild. Joe's property.
Joe's property with a big arrow pointing down.
That's wild.
Yeah. This big, It wasn't like
it was big.
Yeah, so yeah, it was like this big, like the belly, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's like a McGregor kind of.
Yeah, that kind of size, yeah. it was like huge. I don't know. Then I started thinking, I think I just drew it for another artist, And then I realized because how can you tattoo something like that and not remember?
Yeah.
And thinking about it is like, okay, I drew it for the other artist because he didn't know how to do lettering. So I said, okay, I'll draw it for you. And obviously I drew it thinking of size like that. And he actually tattooed it like like all the belly was huge, you know. I was like, oh
Listen,
my God.
Joe wanted people to know.
Yeah.
That is Joe's problem.
Joe's property.
Joe was probably there, for being
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
When she came in for the cover up, people like, I can't touch this. It actually belongs to Joe.
Yeah.
Can you not
allowed-
read?
Did Joe give you permission?
Oh, it's so funny, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's karma, you know. It's just karma. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, you got the deposit. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you got
deposit.
Who won here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the deposit.
She's still property of Joe's, I guess. You know?
Yeah. I would have rather covered it up, you know, like it's like fix my bad deeds, you know. But
Got to find her.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, she's
Yeah.
right here.
I'm sure over the years there's been people, you know, especially since you're doing more high profile clients. Is there anyone like you've been like super nervous to tattoo?
just basically tattoo artists that I really admire.
Okay.
Yeah.
So other tattoo artists will reach out to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes I've had people who are my idols, you know.
Oh, wow.
And I go and I want you to do something on me, and I'm like, no way, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
and,
humbling feeling.
And then I'm shaking, you know. And
Oh, I bet.
yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because when I think about, you know, what would make me nervous, I think the celebrities and stuff. But then
Yeah.
now that you say it, it's like, doing comedy in front of Louis C.K. for me would be way scarier,
Yeah.
you know, than doing it in front of like, you know, Bradley Cooper or somebody like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I
Exactly.
completely relate to what you're saying. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that like, that, and because I know you say that you can say no to tattoos now.
Oh yeah. Now we probably just reject out 7 or 8 tattoos out of each 10 inquiries.
Okay.
But when I say reject, it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm better than that. No, it's the reason why I reject them is because people expect a really, really high quality, and maybe it's not a style where I offer top that high quality. So I want to go to this other artist. You know, he specializes. Okay, you maybe need to travel, but so that's the reason. But so basically, out of each 10 inquiries, we'll give an estimate for 2 or 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Like, and with the style that you do, the hyper-realism, it's absolutely insane. If you look at his stuff, this first chance you get, it's truly like,
Oh, thank you.
it's mind blowing what you do.
It's kind of mixed with a lot with surrealism.
Yeah, it is.
So and with abstract, because it's 2 different parts of the brain. If you're doing like a portrait or whatever, you need to be super technique and super precise.
Yeah.
But then you switch, then you blow up with abstract paint process, blow up part of the face, and then do something crazy below. And that's the other side. That's the more intuitive side. So it's like a nice yin yang, you know, a nice opposites put together.
Yeah.
That's what I try to always do. 2 opposite energies in the same place.
I feel like you're like a Michelin star tattoo artist. Because it's like you're so well traveled, you've gone to so many different disciplines, so many different things. It really does like remind me of like, you know, a world-class chef.
Yeah, same to me. That's what it sounds like.
I had friends who I have good chefs, and they actually would do the same thing. They told me, I traveled to work in the kitchen of this chef and stuff like that, you know. I said, okay, it's the same thing I'm doing. You know, I'm just traveling all over the world just to work with artists I admire.
Gaining perspective and discipline.
Now we came to Austin to settle down. So the past 3 years, well, we came 5 years ago, but the past 3 years, then I stopped a bit of that.
Okay.
Because we came here to start a family and to settle down. You cannot be always living in a suitcase. And if you want a stable,
Yeah. Austin's a good place for that.
yeah.
Yeah. I have my kid. I mean, my kids' bedrooms are right back there.
Ah.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
believe me, I know.
Yeah, first we moved to New York. Like it's but it was crazy because then during COVID it got super crazy. When COVID started,
Yeah.
and we were like, oh, we need to get out. You know, too many screaming people on the street and too many. It was dangerous. You know.
And you got kids?
And now I have a daughter, a 2-year-old.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got 3. I've got my daughters are 15 and 13, and my son's 11.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was young.
Yeah.
We popped them out young. Yeah.
Oh.
I got hurt when I was in the Army, and they said that I wouldn't be able to have kids later on because of my injury, which turned out not to be true.
Yeah.
I could pop out a kid right now. Matter of fact, Colt, come over here.
Excuse me. You might want to close your eyes for this.
But yeah, I've got 3. Fatherhood's fun, man.
Oh yeah, it's something different, you know.
Yeah,
It's something different. It's,
And you're at like the fun age right now. It's like everything's discovery.
yeah,
They're discovering so much, and they're changing constantly.
Yeah.
They're growing constantly.
and it's a different kind of love, you know.
Oh,
It's,
completely
like
different.
It's like you learn what's real, a different kind of love, you know.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you hope she kind of follows, you know, the art and or finds her own way?
Finds her own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah,
My son is definitely the funniest.
yeah.
He's also like, you know, he has a lot of, I won't talk about too much, but he does have a lot of, you know, issues that we're working through. But hands down, he's the
Yeah.
funniest kid.
Oh,
And he'll never, I don't know if he'll ever do stand up. I kind of hope he doesn't.
well, did you do? If you want him to be a stand-up comedian, were you a good parent and gave them a fucked up childhood, or? If you
know,
want
it's
to help
funny.
him out, it's like
I'm already on
I'm giving you a fucked up childhood because I want you to be a good comedian. Did you do that?
Oh, man. It's like,
Just
there's,
dropping them off in bad neighborhoods,
Yeah.
but picking them up on time.
there's a
Exactly.
famous boxer, Terrence Crawford, Bud Crawford. And he fought Canelo Alvarez recently. His mom would pay anybody $10 in the neighborhood if they could beat him up.
Oh,
And nobody ever came to collect that $10. Nobody. So, you know, and he's also the greatest fighter ever, like pound for pound, probably the greatest fighter ever to live.
oh my God.
So it goes into say, if you
Yeah.
want to raise gladiators,
Yeah,
you have to treat them like gladiators.
exactly.
And if I want to raise a stand-up comic, I'm going to need to go get some milk one day and just never come back.
Exactly.
That's hilarious,
Yeah.
man. Oh, dude.
Whenever you decided that you're going to pursue tattooing, just as that's what I'm doing, how was the reaction from your parents?
So initially they didn't take me seriously. And when I was like 3-4 years into it, they would just keep saying, oh, when are you getting a real job? You know, things like that. And then what happened was funny because at some stage, because we have a distinctive surname, Huurman, my mother, she would go to the supermarket and give her credit card, or to the hairdressers, it also happened, and they say, oh, are you related to Charlie Huurman, the tattoo artist? You know,
Oh, wow.
tattoo enthusiasts, you know, or that was especially in that area, you know, in that city. And then she changed to, oh no, my son is a tattoo artist, telling everyone, you know.
Yeah, once the
Yeah.
fame came around, you're like,
Exactly,
oh, yeah.
exactly. So
That's great.
Then
Yeah.
they started taking it seriously. Yeah.
Do you think that was, did you feel, I mean, tattooing, I feel like, is much more accepted now than
Yeah.
probably even you started when, like 2008, 2009?
Yeah, 2000. Yeah, 2008.
Have you felt that? Have you felt any sort of shift towards it, just like
Oh
publicly?
yeah. It keeps. Now the way I would say it is when I started tattooing, all the people I was like learning from and all the big guys you were looking up to, they were like this boss I had. I would say they were like pirates. You know, it was people with crazy lives. You
Yeah.
know, who started tattooing in prison and stuff like that. And now we're all boring coming from art school, you know, and so, so
Well, you did get deported, so you
well, I
got
did
that.
get deported, yeah, but yeah, so I always say like before it was all pirates and whatever and sailors and bikers and stuff, and now it's just the people who like art, you know, which I think is so it's a whole different route.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
it feel good knowing that your parents are proud of you now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So this has been an amazing episode. We always end this really simply, and it's if you had one piece of parenting advice to give to every parent out there that's raising a kid, based on your childhood.
From my childhood,
Yeah. What piece of advice would you give them?
So, well, if it's based on my childhood,
Yeah.
it would be like watch over what they're doing. You know, they might be in serious trouble and you have no clue about it, or you're looking a different way. So really pay attention to what's going on in their life. You know, that would be, which seems seems very obvious, but if it's based on my childhood and the issues that came out of it, that would be it. Pay attention. They might be in serious shit. Yeah.
I know what that's like.
Yeah. But I was lucky, and I had my sister who's 9 years older. She realized, and she actually took me out from that city. Because at one point when I was 15, 16, literally my life was in danger, and she just knew that, okay, and she took me out of that city, and she was like 24, 25, something like that. And she just was still in university, and she made me live with her in.
Why were you in danger?
Small apartment. I started getting into a lot of fights, into a lot of trouble,
Yeah.
And basically I had a crowd that you wouldn't mess with coming after me.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was kind of a bit in hiding,
Yeah, fought the wrong person.
fought the wrong people, yeah.
The Irish half of them was coming out.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Listen, the Dutch ain't no slouches either, dude. They fight too. Ask South Africa.
Was there, I mean, it might be hard to say because they were both just your parents, but like between Dutch and Irish, whenever it came to discipline, which one did you not want to fuck with?
That was the issue with my parents, which is not because there was zero discipline from both of them. And that was my issue. I was just like...
Is that because you were like the baby?
No, they were kind of hippie mentality.
Okay.
So basically, there's food in the fridge and you're just like wandering around all day doing everything. So yeah, when you're 11, you cannot disappear for 3 days and come back. Oh, I was in a friend's house. You're 11. It's stuff like that is your regular parents will get like, okay, that's weird.
But your parents were like, it's cool.
It's probably doing a friend. You know what I mean? They were very innocent,
naive.
Naive.
Yeah,
they have good hearts. No complaint. Like they love me and stuff. But it's like grew up like there was no parents. So that's why my sister would watch over me from time to time. She wasn't living in the house, so she could only do it from a distance.
Do you think that really helped you when you were like 16 to go stay with her?
Oh yeah. That saved me because I actually thought that maybe my mentality changed. She just knew that she just had to change my surroundings and my mentality would change, So...
I love that. It changes surroundings can do a lot of things for you.
Yeah, she knew it. I didn't know. I was like, why? And then when I was like hiding, I was like, okay, now I want to take your offer of. Yeah.
Come get me.
Yeah, but she wasn't telling me before that because she could see that my parents weren't, helping out or anything with my issues, or whatever. And then when I was like in hiding, I was like, okay, what you were?
Hey, I'm gonna take you up on that right now. Can I be here in like 30 seconds?
Exactly.
Yeah, hitting the mattresses, for a little bit will make you think about your opportunities.
Yeah.
Do you think that you're a more disciplined parent than your parents were?
Oh yeah.
And you think it's because of the lack of discipline that they had?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Definitely.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and the two cultures are like opposites. Like my mother's all Irish, all happy, all dancing, and my father is very Germanic, very
stoic.
Yeah, stoic. Mm-hmm. Like once I surprised them with a visit, he didn't know I was coming. I'm in the other side of the world, and he was all stoic, like it looks like he's hungry always, But then I see a teardrop coming out of his. And I was like, that's weird. That's the biggest emotion I've ever seen on him. And it was all stoic, with an angry face, big Dutch Germanic guy,
Yeah.
And then I saw she cried. It makes no sense with that face, like, yeah.
Like Denzel in Glory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Charlie, thank you so much, dude, for coming on.
This has been great.
Thank you.
This has been
Amazing, yeah.
amazing episode, man.
Oh, it's an honor.
We look forward to having putting it out. Tammy's boys and girls, thank you guys for coming in, watching. We appreciate you so much. Do what you're doing. Keep liking, subscribing, following, and we'll keep doing what we're doing. Try to make this the best podcast in the whole damn world. Thank you guys so much. This has been Tammy's Boy.
Perfect.
Did your family bring joy? Was your childhood destroyed? Hey, it's Tammy's Boy.
No, they can subscribe. Why can't they? What would ever prevent them from subscribing?
Well, that's the question. Why wouldn't you subscribe?
It's like, you know what I mean? Subscribe if you can. No, you can.
You can. It's
Well,
free, actually.
People with nubs for arms can do it with their tongue, dude. You got this.
You got this.
I believe in you.
We believe in you.
Yeah.
Subscribe.